So what if the way we think about imposter syndrome is wrong? What if it's not about thinking more positively, but about building something real, like a muscle? Today we're going to unpack a completely different approach to solving it for good, especially if all the usual advice has left you feeling stuck. You know that feeling, that sinking in your gut that says you're a fraud, and any second now everyone's going to find out. It's paralyzing, and way more common than any of us like to admit. Here's our plan for today. We're going to start by looking at why the common advice misses the mark. Then we'll uncover 4 hidden habits that are the real source of the problem. And after that, a practical 4-step tool you can use the next time it hits. The usual advice tries to convince you the feeling isn't real. What we're doing is different. We're addressing what's actually creating it and building genuine capability. And the key is this: capability is what you can actually do when you're under pressure, not just how you feel about yourself. This is Training for a Better Week, building the capability to follow through on what matters. So first, why does the common advice miss the mark? A common approach treats imposter syndrome as what they call cognitive distortion. You're irrationally doubting yourself despite evidence of competence. The solution: cognitive behavioral therapy. Reframe your thoughts, challenge the negative self-talk, recognize your achievements. And look, CBT can help manage the anxiety. But here's what it misses. It treats the feeling as the problem. It's not asking what's creating this feeling in the first place. Why do high-achieving people who have succeeded repeatedly still feel this way? Because they've spent their lives outsourcing their sense of capability to the next achievement. They've never learned to build it internally. So if it were just distorted thinking, another achievement, another credential, another success should fix it. But it doesn't. Because here's what I've found. Imposter syndrome isn't about distorted thinking. It's about how you're relating to your own capability. And that comes down to 4 specific habits, deeper patterns in how you relate to yourself and your capability. These habits operate outside your awareness, automatically shaping how you experience everything. I'm going to show you all 4, and you're going to recognize yourself in them immediately. Then we'll talk about what to do. Ready? All right. The first habit is outsourcing. Where does your sense of capability come from? For most of us, it's from outside. Your credentials tell you you're capable, your job title says you're qualified, your boss's approval means you're doing okay. That's outsourcing. You're looking to external sources to tell you if you're good enough. And we've all been trained in this since childhood, right? Authority lived outside us, parents, teachers, bosses, so it feels completely automatic. But here's the problem. That works fine as long as you're doing things those external markers prepared you for. But the second you face something new, you've got nothing, no internal sense of whether you can handle it. Like you're about to present to senior leadership, there's no credentials that tell you you're qualified to speak to these specific executives in this specific moment. That's when the imposter feeling hits, because the authority has always lived outside of you. So what counters automatic habits? Practices. Both habits and practices are routines. Habits run automatically and avoid discomfort. Practices are different. You engage with them intentionally, and discomfort is part of them. That's where capability actually builds, like a muscle under strain. The practice here is called checking. Instead of looking to external markers, you check your actual experience. When you're facing that challenge, name the gap in one sentence. What specifically am I concerned about? Often these concerns are just the habit talking, that automatic "you're not ready" feeling. But when you examine them, you can see what you're actually worried about. Like instead of "I'm not ready for this presentation," you name it. "I'm worried I don't know the technical details well enough." That's specific. Now you can do something about it. That builds discernment, your own internal compass for what you can handle. The second habit is discounting. This is where you focus on what's missing instead of what's there. Glass half empty, never half full. And it's everywhere, right? We're trained to spot problems, focus on what's wrong. You give that presentation to senior leadership, and afterward all you can think about is where you stumbled over a word or that one question you didn't answer perfectly. You're like a heat-seeking missile for what went wrong. You're discounting what you actually did, treating it like it didn't count. So even when you are building capability, you can't see it. You're scanning for what went wrong, never acknowledging what went right. The practice: acknowledging. Before that challenge, list 2 specific examples, 2 specific times you've handled something relevant before. Like maybe you're presenting to senior leadership for the first time, but you've presented to tough audiences before. You've handled hard questions. That's evidence you've already demonstrated relevant capacity. That's not about being confident. It's about acknowledging what's already there. The third habit is called fusing. Think about anger for a second. When you're really angry, you don't think, I'm experiencing anger. You just are angry. The anger is you. There's no separation between you and the feeling. But later, after you've calmed down, you can look back and say, I was really angry then. Now there's distance. You can see the anger as something you had, not as something you were. That shift from being angry to seeing you were angry, that's what's missing with inadequacy. You stay fused with a feeling. You're facing that presentation to senior leadership. Uncomfortable feelings hit, and you don't experience them as feelings you're having. They feel like facts. This is too hard. I can't do this. The feeling and the reality are fused together. And because you're completely inside it, your response is automatic. You just pull back. You can't question it because there's no separate you from the feeling to do the questioning. The practice that acts as an antidote to the habit of fusing is centering, and it starts physically. When that wave hits, do this. Exhale longer than you inhale for 3 breaths. That's it. You're creating a little breathing room. And as you do that, you start to see the feeling instead of being inside it. Ah, there's that feeling, the one that says this is too hard. And here's the point. When you can see it like that, you can choose. Instead of the feeling having you and making you pull back automatically, you can choose to stay with it. That's what centering builds. Equanimity, the capacity to have the feeling without it controlling you. The fourth habit is different. It's not about how you evaluate yourself. It's about what happens when you face genuine uncertainty. This one is called wavering. Here's the thing. You'll never have complete certainty with something new. You're about to walk into that room with senior leadership. No credential, no past success can tell you for sure how it'll go. But that's where wavering shows up. You start with energy and tension, but when uncertainty hits, you can't hold it. You either white-knuckle your way through with pure tension or just fold. The practice? Bracing. Like bracing for a wave, you plant yourself ready to meet what's coming. It's the opposite of keeping one foot out the door ready to bail. When that uncertain moment arrives and the discomfort shows up, pick the smallest action and do it while the discomfort is present. Walk into that room, start speaking. You commit fully. I don't know how this will go, and I'm going to meet it anyway. That builds resolve, the capacity to meet uncertainty without collapsing. So you see how these work together. You're outsourcing so you don't trust your own judgment. You're discounting so you can't see what you're building. You're fused with your feelings so discomfort feels like proof you're inadequate. And you're wavering so you can't meet the challenge. That's the perfect storm. And together these habits keep you relying on borrowed capability instead of building your own. When demands exceed what that borrowed capability covers, the imposter feeling spikes. Because you're detecting this capability was never actually mine. That's what creates it, not irrational thinking, but these 4 habits of relating. Now you might be thinking, aren't these just normal? Everyone does these sometimes, true. But when they become your default pattern, when they're running automatically every time you face something challenging, that's when they create imposter syndrome. So what do you do about it? All right, so here's your tool. 4 simple steps for the next time that feeling hits. This order matters. You're diagnosing what's real, resourcing what you've built, creating space from fusing, then committing to action. Step 1, check. What specifically am I concerned about here? Step 2, acknowledge. What capacity have I already built that's relevant? Step 3, center. Bring attention to your breath. Create space from the feeling. And step 4, brace. Hold yourself in the discomfort. I don't know how this will go, and I'm going to meet it anyway. Check, acknowledge, center, brace. Each time you do this, you're building something real. Not borrowing confidence from outside, but building capability from within. So next time that imposter feeling hits, you know what to do. Check, acknowledge, center, brace. Traditional approaches tell you your thinking is distorted. Fix your thoughts and the feeling goes away. But what we've done here is different. We're showing you the feeling is detecting something real, these 4 habits, and we're giving you 4 practices as the antidote. So instead of managing your psychology around it, you build what was actually missing. And over time, you're building genuine capability, your own discernment, your own capacity to see what you've built, your own equanimity, your own resolve. That's permanent, that's transferable, that's yours. And hey, if this clicked for you, if something about this felt different from everything else you've tried, that means a lot to me because you're exactly who I'm making this for. If imposter syndrome is something you deal with, try this once this week, just once when that feeling hits. And whether this applies to you or not, next week we're tackling procrastination, how to actually stop it instead of just managing it with productivity hacks. Subscribe for next week's Training for a Better Week. And hit like to help others find content that shows you how to build capability from within instead of borrowing it from outside. I'm Mitch. You deserve a better life, and that's what we're doing here, building it together 1 week at a time. See you next week. This is Training for a Better Week, weekly training for self-authorship, so your weeks actually go the way you mean.